See everybody turning their cameras on. If you want to drop in the chat where you're tuning in from, that's always fun. My name is Wendy Bruns. I'm APPA's Outreach and Communications Director. I'm your host for today's APPA Live. I want to thank you guys for joining us today on Monday, February 19th for APPA Live, Exploring Birth Psychology. If you're new to our webinar series, it's a weekly webinar where we bring you experts and pioneers in the field of prenatal and perinatal psychology to inform and inspire our expanding awareness of conscious babies. This program is free and open to everyone who joins us live on Mondays at noon Eastern. And we have an amazing, huge library of our past APPA Lives since we do this almost every week. And the recordings of all of our APPA Lives are available as a membership benefit to our APPA Premier members. And it looks like my amazing sidekick, Stephanie, already dropped that link into the chat if you want to explore our memberships or bookmark that for later. We also put my email into the chat if you have questions. I'm happy to help support that about our membership, or you have questions about APPA Live or APPA in general. I love hearing from all of you. If you don't have questions, you can email me anyway. We also want to share that we are gearing up for our Birth Psychology Month in March. It's a free seminar that we're doing all month. We are discussing birthing a new world and creating compassionate birth models that work. It's a free event, but please register so that you can get all of our information. Stephanie also put a link for that into the chat, so bookmark that. We have amazing speakers, you guys. I'm going to name drop because I cannot wait. Lynn McTaggart is coming. She's our first keynote speaker. Tony Harmon with Microbirth is going to be here talking about her film. Our friends at In the Cortex are doing amazing work, and they're going to come talk. Anna Verwal and John Wilkes will be here. Stephen Gyllenhaal is coming on to do a big talk about a couple of his new documentaries coming out. So, I mean, there's just so much. We have some amazing speakers who've been on APPA Live before, but they're really delving even deeper into their discussions. Victoria Rose, Anna Kolf. So just, please register. It is free. We do have opportunities to purchase the recording so that you have access to our recordings the entire time if you're not able to join us live, but just really, really great work. And as you're kind of bookmarking that, you're settling into your seats. I see everybody smiling and happy. Let's go ahead and shift our minds and welcome our guest presenter for today, Magdalena Kelaridis. She's a professional with a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in human resource management, and extensive qualifications in counseling. Her passion really lies in the field of physical and mental health prevention, and particularly the focus on critical phases of prenatal development up until the child's 3 years old. Magdalena and her twins actually experienced a really difficult start, which motivated her to delve into the impact of early experiences. And having undergone prenatal bonding training, and she's currently one of our PP&E students. Our PP&E program is the Pre and Perinatal Educator Certification Program. Magdalena is becoming very well versed in supporting parents to provide a stable foundation for their children. She says her journey, marked by her personal struggles, fuels her desire to spare others the hardship that her and her family endured these first few years of life. And her experience actually extends to facilitating workshops for professionals and supervising counselors. And her mission is to empower parents in ensuring the next generation grows into happy, healthy, thriving individuals, something that we can all get behind here at APPA. And her physical and mental well-being begin in the womb, cultivating strong foundations for a lifetime of flourishing. As a reminder, or if you're new here, please write your questions into the chat. We're going to save some time for a Q&A with Magdalena, but let's go ahead and welcome her to the floor as she presents on the Wellbeing Roots, nurturing health before and in the womb. I'm going to go ahead and get Magdalena unmuted and spotlight her so we can all see her. Good to see you, Magdalena.
Hello, thank you very much, Wendy, for having me. And when I decided that I would like to share my point of view and my story, I was thinking of, I think there are a lot of people here who already know very much about this topic. So I decided to do it the way I always do my workshops with parents and my colleagues. And I was like at the beginning to, yeah, close my eyes, concentrate on what we're gonna talk about now. Some people like me, it's evening in Austria. I'm in Austria, or they had a very stressful day, maybe. Others, you only have lunch, but still, maybe it's nice to just close your eyes if you want to, concentrate on your breathing, and draw your attention from the external world and direct it inwards to your body. And breathe in and out. And try to feel your body. Make yourself really comfortable in your body. Maybe you have some feeling that you would like to move, swaying, or feeling your feet on the floor. And you breathe slowly and feel how the fresh air fills up your lungs. And try to fill out your body completely from your head downwards to the tip of your toes. Now imagine yourself at a place that feels safe for you, where it's nice and warm, where you feel protected and safe. Where you feel nurtured, welcomed, and happy. Try to feel really where in your body you feel that. And how does this feel? Maybe it's like a glow in your heart. Maybe you feel very light, like floating. And breathe. And try to really feel your body. And give yourself a minute or two to stay at this place and feel this nurturing. And as you feel that, you feel that maybe stress or other thoughts that you had today already, they're easily just falling off you. Now slowly try to come back from this place that you've visited. But know that you can always come back there, can always go there and feel this nurturing energy, place where you can be however you want to be and feel happy and safe. And come back again and feel more and hear more of the surroundings again until you are back with us again. Thank you very much for your intention. I really like doing this kind of work with my pregnant women, especially because, of course, I wish that every pregnant woman would come to me and my colleagues who do prenatal bonding, but unfortunately, I'm not that long yet there, and not a lot of people know about prenatal bonding. So most of my clients come to me when they're very stressed out, when they have had difficult relationships with their parents, and maybe also their own prenatal experiences were very difficult. And so these mothers come to me with a lot of hope, with fear, but they're very thankful to do this kind of work with me and to nurture their children from the beginning. And I really, really love this kind of work, especially with pregnant women, because to hear the dialogue a mother has with her child prenatal is really amazing. I know that it also heals my heart because I've never experienced that. I haven't experienced that with my mother, and I have definitely not experienced that with my twins. And as Wendy already said, that the beginning of my life was a little bit difficult. Maybe some people already seen my video last year at Breast Psychology Month, where I did talk about how important it is that especially women look into their prenatal and birth history. And I didn't do that before, as a lot of other people didn't. And so history repeated itself. And when I did the prenatal bonding at the beginning, I was really sad because I never had the chance to experience this. I definitely am done. I'm not going to get another child. I have three beautiful children and I love them very much and they give me a lot. But the work with the pregnant women is really amazing. And as starters, I would just like to, I collected some of the sentences from the mothers and from the children, actually, from the prenatal bonding. Yeah, and I will tell at the end what prenatal bonding is, maybe, or should I say it at the beginning, Wendy? I don't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I was muted. Why don't you give folks an introduction of what prenatal bonding is?
Okay, yeah. Prenatal bonding from Hidesh and Rafai. We are working with the pregnant women. We're talking about their history. So how was their start into life? How was their birth? How was the birth of the parents? How was the birth of the father? And we're working with them every week, ideally, beginning of whenever they want to come. And there are specific normal, like baby hours, we call them, where the mother goes in direct contact with the baby through the womb with closing her eyes and getting into contact with the baby, and talking to the baby. And then we also have different other techniques we use. It's called the Spiegelspiel in German. It's a game that the mother plays with her unborn, where the mother envisions that she's sitting in front of or standing in front of the child and telling the baby that, look, these are my hands and these are your hands and these are my legs and these are your legs. And we go basically through the whole body, and the baby really learns that it's not this, basically it has an own body. And it's really amazing what the reaction from the babies are back when we do this kind of games. And they also say that it's really important that the baby finds out that it's basically not part of the mother, or that it's has its own body. So it's easier for birth and to let go. And then we go on, and about 36 weeks, depending on maybe if the mother has twins, and unfortunately in Austria it's like this, that they do a lot of C-sections and they take the kids before it's time. But anyways, yeah, we work. There are 9 specific texts we're saying to the mother, so she and the baby can, yeah, have a nice end. They go through the pregnancy. Maybe some things are coming up that we haven't talked about, some fears of the baby or the mother. And the really cool thing is that the baby finds out that birth is necessary to live here among us. The baby doesn't know normally what happens when it just knows that, okay, I don't fit inside here anymore. I have to get out of here, but it doesn't know what's happening afterwards. And these kids are being prepared. And this is so great that you're talking to the kids and you're explaining the kids, okay, maybe there's a C-section, but the father or the other parent will be with you and we'll try to bond immediately. And then we get home, and then the kids get informed about how it is. They get informed that maybe they have siblings, and it's just making space already for the baby, like it would be living among the family already, but during pregnancy. And yes, this is really amazing. I hope that's explaining very well. If you have questions, I'll answer that at the end. But now I'd really like to tell you these sentences. Some of them are just translated from German into English. I'm working German, English, and Greek, actually. So, what mothers tell me what the babies are saying. It's okay the way it is. Don't worry, mom. It's okay for me. And it reassures me that it has nothing to do with me. I'm happy the way it is. And I'm happy that I'm allowed to be here. Where is my space? Does that mean when I come home with you that I'm immediately separated because I have my own bed in my own room? I'm happy and I feel welcome. Thank you for the information, Mom. I understand. I hear you, Mom. Don't worry. I also don't know what will come. And then sentences that I hear from my clients. I'm sad that it's ending and you're leaving me. I'm surprised and disappointed in myself because I thought you were a girl. And I don't want you to think you're wrong. You are perfect just the way you are. I feel warmth, lightness, contentment. Our breathing is the same. We resonate in harmony. You're already telling me what you don't like by kicking me, and that's good. I feel guilty very often. It was a long journey to get pregnant. A C-section is less dangerous. I'm making space for my baby, not just my belly, not just in my belly and emotionally, but also at home for everyone to see. I'm afraid I won't be able to hold the bond just the way it is now. We sway back and forth together. I know she doesn't hold it against me. She just wants to understand what is going on. She likes the shared pause, taking time together in these hours. She feels quite comfortable. That's how I perceive it. She shows me today her world. Yeah, these are just a couple of sentences that I brought here for you from my clients, from the things that I've written down when I'm working with the women. And it just amazes me so much how smart babies in the womb are already, how compassionate they are, but also this or explaining the parents already that they just want to know. What we all want is information. We want information. As soon as we have enough information that we can decide. And this is so beautiful because these children, as I already said, they are already among the family because the mother's explaining them what has been going on. Maybe she was stressed and informing the baby that, look, I know that it has been stressful today, but it has nothing to do with you, and I just want to know. Or maybe yes, it did have something to do because I had this doctor's appointment, but now I found out that everything is okay, but it was just a shock. Or maybe the mother was shocked because the sibling, something happened to the sibling, but just this information, talking to the kids. And I'm only working with this woman once a week, so their homework is that every evening when they go to bed, they talk about the day. And I didn't do that in the pregnancy, but just came naturally to me. I do that with my kids every day. We talk about what was going on today. I always ask them what they found was the coolest and what they didn't like so much. And they always want to know what's going on tomorrow. And my kids can speak already, but the babies inside the mothers can't. And I'm just telling them, this is also great for me because I'm working so much with my children that I can explain. My kids can verbalize already what they want. Your baby in the womb can't. And also the kids until about 3, they cannot. And this is what I'm trying to inform the parents about. The more information you have, the more you're really connected with your child. You just in your soul feel what your child wants. And if not, then you say it. Talk to the baby. A lot of parents, they thought I'm crazy basically because I was constantly talking to my babies, even my daughter. I was like, she doesn't understand you. And it's like, maybe she doesn't understand every single word, but she knows. And this is a little bit off script, but it just came to my mind. My daughter is 3 years older than my twins, and my twins were 2 months old when my daughter had to have an operation. I don't know what it's called, the sinus or something like that. They have an operation here where they take these things out or whatever they're called, and her tonsils. And for me, it was very horrible to send my child away to the hospital to an operation alone. Well, alone not with my husband, alone from me. But I couldn't because the twins, I was breastfeeding them, they were at home. And of course, as it is, they noticed that I'm not feeling well. I was very nervous, and they were basically up all night. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, I was just so exhausted, really, really exhausted because I've had a single minute of sleep because they were constantly waking up. They constantly wanted breastfeeding. They constantly wanted reassurance, which I didn't know back then. I just had to talk to them and explain them because they did notice that the father was gone and their sister was gone, and I was nervous and everything. Well, I was at the point that I just didn't know what to do anymore. And we sometimes read the parents who shake their children. But what I what did I do? I put them in front of me. I turned up the light a little bit. I looked into their eyes and I said, you know what? I'm so exhausted. I really can't. I'm afraid to pick you up and walk with you because I'm scared that I will drop you because I'm so tired. And I have to say that the nights before, I didn't get more than 5 hours of sleep in 24 hours. So I was already sleep deprived. And I said that to them and I said, you can drink one more time now, but you have to sleep then without waking up for 3 hours straight because I can't. They were 2 months old and it worked. So yes, they probably didn't understand every single word, but they understood me. We were connected. Yeah. So sorry for that, but it just came to my mind and I thought it's important to know. Yeah. And I brought some cases with me. One case was a pregnant woman who came to me because the bladder was a little bit ripped, and it was clear that the latest that they would have to come was 10 days later. That's how it is in Austria. And she came to me over Zoom, and she was totally not ready for that birth. We were working every day with each other, and for her, she always said, I'm not myself. I'm not myself. I don't know. I'm crying. I'm totally crazy. I'm so in panic. This is not me. And this is the interesting thing because we learned in prenatal bonding that of course, especially pregnant women, they're not never ever always here in the here and now. They're with their brains and minds in the future, what will come. They worry about that. Of course, you've never done that. This woman was first time mother, first time with twins. I mean, a lot. And then her own story was also there. And I always do ask questions, not only about the current pregnancy, but about her own. And we found out why it was like that. And interesting enough, she had a twin loss herself in her mother's womb, and she just couldn't imagine that everything would go fine because she didn't have that experience. That actually twins can come into the world and nothing happens and everything is okay. And that was really amazing for me to see this, how again history repeat itself. And another story, I had another woman who came to me was when her aunt had suddenly died. She was on holidays with her first son and her husband, and she was 34 or 35 weeks pregnant. And her mother actually talked to my mother-in-law because she knew that I was doing that. And she asked if I could come by and talk to her daughter because she didn't know what to do. She was so devastated. She was just crying. And she said, I don't know how I will give birth to this child because I'm just thinking so much about my aunt and I'm so sad and I'm just crying all the time. And I'm also afraid that this has negative influence on the baby and everything like that. So I was working with that pregnant woman as well. And I always like to find out where things come from. What is the triggering point, or where does it come from? Or I really like to understand. So I tried to understand why this woman felt like that. Of course, it was a shock that suddenly her aunt died. And then she told me, well, many years ago when she was a student, she was also on holidays and her dog had died. And I don't know, somehow I felt this is not it. This might have been also a reason, but this is not the point or the main point. where it comes from. But anyways, I didn't work on that. My work was more so that I stabilize her and that she can really give birth to her child, and that they were all afraid that she would have depression afterwards and that the baby has problems, and there was a C-section which she definitely didn't want and everything like that, and everything worked out fine. She was on the baby came by itself, and the mother didn't get any depression afterwards. But you know, you always have these things in your mind and it always works and you're always wondering. But yeah. And interesting enough, a couple of months later, I was sitting in my mother-in-law's at the dining table, and we are just talking about something, and she's like, well, it's really interesting about this client, that this history repeat itself. And I'm like, first of all, of course, I don't talk about my clients, but I really didn't understand what she was talking about. And then I said, yeah, of course. Yeah, I see that in myself, history repeats. No, with this client. And I'm like, I don't understand what you mean. I was like, well, when her mother was pregnant, the grandmother died. So the grandmother of the pregnant woman. So, and then I was like, of course, yeah. She had this experience already prenatally. Then, of course, her dog died, which, yeah, was maybe also traumatizing. But then basically a very close person also died with her. So these are the things that I'm just talking or like to talk about to pregnant women, how it's important to really work on your own past, because yeah, history repeats itself, and maybe also to understand yourself, your own things, why you do things you do, or why do you feel the way you do, or that you feel maybe, "Ah, that's not me," because maybe it is not something from you. Maybe it is something that you received from your mother, because your mother felt maybe she had to work and her boss was useless, and she always had this feeling, oh, this person is so useless. And because the mother maybe didn't talk with the baby always feels useless now, or has a feeling that other people are always useless. And yeah, should we I still have a little bit. I still have a couple of minutes. um, what would I like to tell you more? Another case. um, I'm just looking at my notes. Oh yeah, I had another case where the mother was really also ambivalent about the pregnancy of twins. I'm worried because I am a twin mother. I have a lot of clients who also have twins. And I also didn't understand where it comes from. And the task basically for me was that she would feel okay. And she was really afraid that her children would have the same feeling like she had or she got from her mother. So we're working on it. And in this case, the interesting thing was also, first of all, she was not wanted at the beginning already, and she also lost a twin. So in this case also, she didn't know how it is. We know through a lot of research, yeah, that I don't have to say it, but I say it anyways, that people who had negative feelings, yeah, in or experiences in the womb, that they're just sitting inside you in our reptilian brain, and it is there, and maybe you just don't know where things come from. Yeah. Should we do some questions? Are there a lot of questions, maybe, Wendy? And then I could give more examples afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Magdalena. That was just such a concise presentation about everything that you've been working on and how you're implementing this and what the actual outcome is with your clients, right? What they're finding, what they're sharing with you, what the babies are sharing with you. Um, you were discussing earlier on in the presentation about how you're connecting with clients, and that sparked a handful of questions from our listeners. And so I'm going to ask them, and you can,
Mhm.
uh, keep on going with them. But there were a couple of questions around what is your suggestions when you're working with single mothers? That was the first question.
Meaning because they don't have the father. I'm not working with the father with the pregnant women. I'm only working with the woman
Ah, so
because
it doesn't
in
change.
my opinion the mother is the most important person in the pregnancy. Afterwards, yes, I'm working with parents, but in the pregnancy, maybe what I do is that when there is a father also or another parent, that what I like to do if they want to is I get together with them and I'm just talking about life afterwards with a child. So I'm also a couples counselor. So I'm doing a little bit couples counseling. So they're prepared for the future, what maybe problems can come up. But the prenatal bonding is really only the connection with the mother and the baby. I do give homework. I say if the fathers are interested, they can also connect with the child. Fathers really like to put oil on the tummy of the mothers, yeah, and talk to the babies. That's the most important thing. But it's just really difficult because the way we are working is that the mother basically, like I started the introduction with you, where I said, okay, concentrate on yourself. And then we're working, okay, you go deeper down to your womb. And then try to imagine your womb. How does it look like? And then we work with the inner hand and the baby lets you in when it's ready and you see the baby. And that's a little bit difficult with the father because, of course, it doesn't carry the child inside. I hope this is the question about working with single moms.
Yeah, I think so. They went on to share more, and I realized I thought it was two separate questions, but she says when the mother is processing or struggling to process the situation of rejection with the father of the baby, maybe how to guide that mother and explain to her to connect with her baby without that presence. So I think you did a really good job of
I think it's important in that sense that the baby understands that the feelings, whatever the mother has nothing to do with the child.
mhm.
It's very important because the baby doesn't understand. There was a case that we had while we did the prenatal bonding where they told us that a mother was in a lawsuit with another man, some business stuff, and she had really strong negative feelings towards this man who basically destroyed her pregnancy because she didn't have the time to concentrate on the baby and had really, really negative feelings towards that man. And what came out was that this baby had huge problems with father. So she didn't like to be at all in the same room with the father alone. They had a problem because she was pregnant again, and the father, of course, was supposed to look at the after the second child at the time when the mother would be in the hospital and stuff like that. So it's important to, even if you have problems with your boss, that you say, okay, this has nothing to do with your father, yeah, or your other parent, or with you. So information, information, information.
Fantastic. Thank you. Um, you brought up prenatal bonding here a couple of times, and you brought it up in the very beginning, but Barbara was wondering when your next training is. She's also part of a prenatal bonding circle with Gerhard Stroth, and so she says that she's starting trainings in the United States this fall.
Hmm. Um, I have always trainings. She can just contact me and we can, yeah, talk, or we can just talk like this. I really like to talk with colleagues.
Love that. That's one of my favorite things about APPA too, is just all of the connections that we all make. I know Stephanie has your email. If you're comfortable having us
Yeah,
drop your
sure. Mhm.
I know you have a website that you're working on. Maybe we can drop that in there too. Stephanie will go ahead and take care of that. So I just encourage folks listening in to bookmark Magdalena. She's absolutely wonderful. She and I have had really great conversations, and I've loved just getting her knowledge and conversing with her. So please email her. There's been a couple more questions. Christiana Dykman, who's our education director, she's not on the line, but she heard that
Ah,
you were
okay.
today. So she's been texting me all these questions to ask you. She is dying to know why you decided to take PP&E or what your welcome into APPA was. So maybe you can answer that first.
Um, I have to, it's a little bit longer, the answer, but I have to say that, as you already said, about in the introduction about me, um, I was totally disconnected to my twins because my prenatal and birth trauma was shooting open. Um, I have lost a twin in the womb. I had been resuscitated after birth, and I didn't know any of this. And my parents also didn't really know. My father, when I asked him, said, "Probably you were resuscitated." So, but my dad is a doctor. He did was yeah. Um, I did. I only saw my parents 5 or 6 hours later. I was a blue baby, and somehow when I got pregnant with my twins, and I would have had bleeding, so they were probably 3. Um, at least they tell me that because I'm talking a lot of my kids, and it's really amazing what they know about their prenatal time. Um, and yeah, one of the twins was screaming and shouting after birth for month to month.
Oh.
And they say, you have a colicky baby, which we know, yeah, what that means. He was just processing the prenatal and birth time. And then I went to somebody in Austria who did a training with Carlton Terry, the prenatal integration, or however it's called in English. And we went there once, and from crying every single time when he was falling asleep, in 2 hours every evening, he stopped and he only screamed for 30 minutes, and I understood what he wanted to tell me. So
Mm.
this started my journey. And then I said, well, I also want to do baby therapy and the pre and perinatal integration, but the course wasn't on, so I did the prenatal bonding, and I always thought it's not enough information. So I tried to find a university or something like that in Austria, which I think we too talked about it in Austria. Unfortunately, the pre and perinatal and epigenetics is not something that they really take into consideration. And I also talked to a psychiatrist, and he said, no, if you want to do that, you have to do that in the States. And that's how I came to APPPAH. And I'm so thankful. I've learned so much. Whoever hasn't done it, do it, really. It's a lot of work. It's not, I have to say, it's not only 10 hours a week, it's a little bit more.
Well, that I have to say thank you for saying that. We Christiana, I have to give her her flowers. I wish she was on this call right now because she has been revamping and reorganizing our PP&E program as a teaser, since I'm being recorded and all of you guys are my very best friends on this call, that we are going to share quite a bit more about the new PP&E program at our Birth Psychology Month in March. So if you are curious about taking PP&E program, please, hop on with us and learn more about it. Um, I have a question, Magdalena, that something you said that kind of sparked in me. Like, how has working through the PP&E program, and I know you're still midway through, you're still a student of learning, but how has it opened your eyes or changed how you're interacting with your clients? I know that you have all this wonderful background, but in particular, the PP&E program, how has
A
that?
lot, a lot. Yes, I really have to say a lot because not only can I now go to the politicians and have dates and facts that they say, please pay for that, yeah, but I understand my clients more because this is the problem that it's not my job normally in the prenatal bonding to work through their traumas because my focus is that she has a good bond with the baby. But if like in this case with a mother who has had this experience where her mother already has experienced the death in the pregnancy, even if I would have I would have had this information, it wouldn't have sparked anything. So I think the more depth you have in these things to understand what does some words mean, what people say, or how do they react, this is really, really, really helped me. Yeah, it gave me more, like, of course you can learn things by experience and working, but it is in-depth information from all these doctors and people who have worked in this has really helped me a lot to understand my clients better. And to explain behavior of children to parents. I'm not directly working with children yet. I'm just working with the parents to inform them that they know more what their kids try to express with their behavior.
Mm. I love that. Nana is in the chat and she says she's a PPE graduate since 2020 and she also highly recommends it. She's one of our European students as well. So that's just so great to hear. Truly, truly, the PPE program is just a staple of APPA, and so many of our students who take that course learn so much. I'm so excited because I'm going to start taking it this year, and I just can't wait, I want to share with folks, we have another few minutes with Magdalena on the call, so please put any questions into the chat. And there's a couple of other questions. One earlier, do you have any experiences with early adopted children, working with clients who have adopted children, and how you work through that?
Not yet, unfortunately.
Okay.
But
Well,
I know that
after you do.
it has changed my point of view about surrogacy and adoption. That or I have to say it different. In the class of my daughter is an adopted girl, and she does have a lot of problems. Because what you have to understand is that no matter how much these adopted parents love you and give you love, you're basically at the beginning of your life not wanted. I have to say directly how it is.
Mm.
And this, I always say, especially, and this sounds maybe, I don't know, problematic for some, but if your mother, the first person to welcome you, the mother is the most important person at the beginning of life for a child. If nobody else wants a baby, but the mother wants the baby and the mother loves the baby and the mother has unconditional love to this unborn and the baby, I think a lot of other things are not that bad, how to say,
Mhm.
So I know some people who have been adopted and they have all had difficulties in their teenager years because they wanted to know where they come from. This is also why I say to my clients, don't buy your kids huge amounts of presents. Yeah. Don't buy them gold or whatever stuff. The present you can give your child is to work on your own pre and perinatal time and give your children information. I have a lot of information for my kids, like the biography of my children. I tried to talk to my 92-year-old grandmother. Unfortunately, she is not always able to remember anymore, but it's so important. And I tell her, I said, Grandma, try to remember something. Yeah, has there been a loss in our family? Yeah, and then I found out through my mother that my grandmother had some kind of loss. She had bleedings, but my mother doesn't remember if it was before her or when she was pregnant with my mother. So this is a really big thing. And I think also when you are adopted, the more information you have or give if you give up your child for adoption, you should give a lot of information with the baby. It really helps. Of course, you can always work on, I work with regression, but it's easier if you have something that is written down. And the more, a lot of my clients, just by finding out where it comes from, it heals already so much.
Thanks for saying that, Magdalena. I know there's some things happening in the chat that I just want to
Huh?
bring to light. Judith is sharing about her adoption and that feeling that you kind of brought up, right? That unwanted wound. And I have to say that we have discussed adoption throughout APPA. We have a really incredible series with Michael Trout, who speaks a lot about adoption, and he has some folks come on as guest speakers. Maybe if Stephanie is able to find that link really quickly, she can drop it into the chat. But also Kira brings up the topic of babies who, are through IVF or anything like that. That's also a big conversation around here.
It does make a difference.
Yeah.
The children, they show it. I mean, whoever has done something with cotton cherry, they will also say that. And we have had a little bit about that in the PA. It does make a difference. I have to just, yeah. And sometimes I think you have to be a little bit direct to say things. Naturally, when you're being conceived, no matter how you're being conceived, if it is wanted or not, even if it is forced onto the woman, you have the egg and you have the sperms. And the egg opens up for one sperm. The egg opens up. It's not the sperm that penetrates the egg. It's the egg that opens up for that one sperm. So whatever it is, something in the egg chose this sperm. So it's welcoming basically the sperm. And if you have in the petri dish, basically the egg, and you penetrate the sperm into the egg, it is a difference. It doesn't mean that it always affects a person. This is the interesting thing, and this is always that what I say, it's prenatal psychology or whatever is not math.
I love that. I love hearing that. That's such a poignant quote. Just the last couple of minutes, we have one of our wonderful affiliates here, Olga's on the call, and she's with Prenatal Sciences, and she put her link into the chat about exploring, 2 or 3 or 5 years, even in the full training of prenatal psychology. So if folks are interested in that, to please explore. I saw something else from her, but sometimes we talk so much in the chat. Here we go. Olga says, there's so many things that pop up. Olga says to make sure that, we're getting the info about our training of prenatal sciences to start through the end of the year of March of 2024, and that they're doing free attendance for those who enroll up until the 20th of March. So just folks, another link to bookmark. And this is such a wonderful piece about these calls of just creating that community. We have so much discussion around all of these big conversations in APPA, and it's just so nice to all be here together. I think we have time for just one more question. I see Maria put something in. She says, I think Magdalena, she's referring to when you were talking about negative emotions from families landing in the brain or body of descendants, right? That generational piece. She says she feels that in her body in such a big way, and that she suspects that this could go several generations back. And she's curious about your best recommendations for ancestral healing or letting that negativity be metabolized, especially when you're feeling that maybe it's hard to do so and that you're feeling it so strongly.
I think find one person who you really trust, who you can work with. It's possible even over the internet. And I always recommend it has to be something that involves the body, because it is saved in the body. And first of all, finding where it comes from. This is always my first point. if you know where it comes from, this is a huge step. I had a client who always had a problem that she could never finish anything. She always stopped. She couldn't even finish reading one book, you have to imagine. And I found out with her that it had to do with birth. In the process of being born, she turned around. And the midwife had to turn her around again. And this is just an imprint that she has gone through her whole life. And we just broke through it. And just by knowing this, where it comes from, it helped her a lot. And of course, then we worked on it, and you can relive it in a different way, how you would love to have done it. This is the way I would go with it. I hope this is a good answer.
No, that's very, very much. I think that that's perfect advice. I think that, gosh, and it's such a bummer we're getting to the end of this call, because there's so much to talk about, right? When we're talking about healing those generational pieces, we're talking about connecting with our clients and how to have them navigate that, and even how our own personal experiences affect all of that. And I just have to say, Magdalena, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us and bringing all of this to light. And, in these last couple of minutes, just enjoy so much the PP&E program and working through it. And we'll have to have you come on later and share once you're done and share your findings, because it's such a rich, rich program.
I just want to say, I can also recommend every professional to really go and we call it supervisations, or I don't know what it is in English, where you just go and you talk about your cases with other people who have experienced. I do that for my colleagues, and whenever they're stuck, they come to me and they're like, oh my God, yeah, I've never thought about that. And just give them a different view and looking at their clients, and it's really helpful.
Thank you for sharing that. We're gonna go ahead and put your email into the chat. I think Stephanie's grabbing that, and we'll go ahead and put that in there. But thank you so much, Magdalena, for being here and talking about this with us. I'm really excited and looking forward to next week, as well as we welcome Dr. Snehal Deshpande coming on to APPPAH Live. Dr. Snehal's presented on APPPAH Live before last summer, and we're just so excited to have her back, right? And so that's why I'm encouraging you, Magdalena, to come back and share with us. But she is going to do a presentation on spiritual anatomy and conscious conception. Dr. Snehal's so well respected and such an important member of the physiotherapy fraternity. She has 25 years of experience that she's grown into the profession with immense grace, sincerity, and perseverance. And her contribution toward the field of pediatrics has been vast, owing to her passion and dedication toward improving the quality of life of the children's population. She's one of the pioneers of the genesis of pediatric rehabilitation in India, and she has an organization, the Heartfulness Institute, and they believe that providing quality therapy with a multidisciplinary approach and considers teamwork and love toward kids to be the key component in rehabilitation. And so we're so excited that she'll be on. As folks hop off, you're welcome to unmute yourself and say goodbye. And thank you to Magdalena for being here and sharing all of her wonderful wisdom that she's gaining.
And thank you, Magdalena.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Magdalena. Lovely.
Thank you very much. Really rich information.